Welcome to the news on Zodiac with me, Sibongile Ziambo. The headlines. COVID-19 task force turns back expenditure reports from 4 clusters committee for lacking satisfying evidence. HRDC claims SCB has only investigated 1 case out of over 50 alleged corrupt practices it reported. Livingstonia Synod of CCP worried with excess force on COVID-19 prevention measures. And in sports news, Flames players to undergo COVID-19 tests this weekend ahead of camping for AFCON qualifiers. Those are the headlines, and now the news in detail. Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 is still scrutinizing expenditure reports from cluster committees on how they use COVID-19 funds. The task force, however, on Wednesday rejected some expenditure reports from 4 cluster committees for failing to provide satisfying evidence on how they use COVID-19 funds. Education, Labor, Local Government and Defense are the COVID-19 cluster committees that were sent back to rework on their reports. Minister of Health Kumbize Chiponda said the reports will be submitted to the President. Western Guta with more.
During a recess at noon, Minister of Health Kumbize Chiponda told Zodiac that the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 managed to receive expenditure reports from 13 cluster committees that had not done so. On Sunday, President Lazarus Chakwera demanded the committees to present the reports within 48 hours. However, Chiponda told us that some clusters, including education, labor, local government and defense, were turned back because they failed to give backing evidence of their reports.
When we started looking at some of these reports, they were lacking in detail and, in some very, very important or crucial information. So those who had such problems, we have said, no, go back. We need to justify why did you put 5 million here, what did you do with it, things like those.
The health minister added that the task force will present a report to the president upon receipt of the revisited reports from the clusters and finishing of scrutiny. Earlier, the State House announced that all the committees submitted the reports, but fell short to add that some committees have been sent back due to unsatisfactory reports. It is yet to be seen if the Presidential Task Force will conclude the exercise today, Wednesday. Reporting for Zodiac in Lilongwe, this is Western Guta.
The Kwasi Religious Body Public Affairs Committee PAC has backed the government's stand to proceed with the rollout of COVID-19 vaccine, warning that it will reprimand religious groups that will preach against the exercise. PAC spokesperson Bishop Gifford Matonga has told Zodiac in an interview that all religious groupings have been consulted on the vaccine rollout. Public health expert Dothe Ngoma says there is need for massive campaign on the vaccine for a positive response by the citizenry on the vaccine. Steve Zimba reports.
Spokesperson for the Public Affairs Committee, Bishop Gifford Matonga, has told us that the Kwas religious body has already engaged government and its members on how to reach out to their followers with messages of the COVID-19 vaccine. Minister of Information Gospel Kazako is on record to have said government will not force its citizens to access the vaccine, saying misconceptions surrounding its negativity is empty. Public health expert Dorothy Ngoma says government should go flat out with messages that will clear misunderstandings which some people have on the vaccine. Government of Malawi will start receiving Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine this February, and first jabs to frontline workers and those with health conditions, among others, will be given from March this year. For Zodiac, this is Steve Zimba reporting.
Meanwhile, the Society of Medical Doctors in Malawi says the decision by South Africa to halt administration of the AstraZeneca vaccine should not stop government from administering the jab here in Malawi. At a press briefing on Tuesday in Lilongwe, SMD President Dr. Victor Miti said in its current state, the vaccine can still save lives. He, however, says they are monitoring the situation and will make recommendations. Andrew Viano filed this report.
Debate around the effectiveness of UK's AstraZeneca vaccine has taken a new twist after South Africa put its administration to citizens on hold. Emerging concern is that it does not do so well with a new variant of the coronavirus found in the country. The vaccine is still under development. Experts in Malawi say they are monitoring trends on efficacy and would help make recommendation at a later stage. President of the Society of Medical Doctors in Malawi, Dr. Victor Miti, says the country should not hesitate to use the vaccine once available because in its current form it can still save lives.
We know that this vaccine has, at some extent, abilities of preventing people from developing severe cases, severe diseases. And we know that many people that are dying, they die because of severe disease. So it is from this angle, that's why we're still bold enough to say there's no harm in us trying this vaccine. You have to understand that we're in dilemma, we're in a very critical situation here. Even if the vaccine can save 2 lives, it is worth it trying than losing those lives. That's why for now we believe that there's nothing that we will lose in having this vaccine. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we will stop analyzing the disease pattern within our setting. It doesn't necessarily mean that when the vaccine is in our land, we'll just give it without observing. All those things will be followed.
Malawi is expected to receive a batch of the AstraZeneca vaccine this month end.
Still on COVID-19, Medical Council of Malawi's acting registrar Richard Ndovi has condemned attacks on health workers on the pretext they are spreading the virus. There have been reports of barbarics on this matter in Lilongwe and Blantyre. Mr. Ndovi explains.
Once we are attacking the health practitioners, it may not end properly towards us, because the practitioners, the doctors, will start to shy away from tough cases, what we call defensive medicine. So they may choose softer ones, which will end up in, at least if you may come out healed as they're managing you. But the difficult cases, they may shy away from that to say, this guy is very sick. If he dies in my hands, obviously people are going to beat me. So that's the implications. We will be the victims as healthcare users. So that's our appeal, as well as, first of all, we call them health workers, but they are human beings like ourselves. The very same rights we claim as the patients or healthcare users, they have also rights. These are enshrined in the Constitution. So we need to respect each other, whether we are patient, practitioners respecting patients, or patients respecting the practitioners, because they have those rights to safety as well.
The Church and Society program of the CCP Synod of Livingstonia says it is concerned with alleged reports that the police are using excessive force to enforce COVID-19 preventive measures. In a statement signed by the organization's executive director, Moses Mkandawire, the organization says it expects the law enforcers to respect human rights and treat everybody equally. From Zimbabwe, Urenda reports.
The Church and Society program of the CCP Synod of Livingstonia says it's deeply concerned with allegations of police using excessive force to reinforce the gazetted COVID-19 prevention measures, especially among individuals and businesses which have been hit hard by the economic impact of the pandemic. The organization says while this is the case, reports of such measures being reinforced in premises where employers employ a lot of people who need to be protected against the virus are very few. It says such measures should be reinforced equally while ensuring that human rights are being respected in the process. It has also appealed to government and the COVID-19 task force to be more transparent in sharing information about the pandemic, like on testing and treatment capacity per district, thereby giving a clearer picture of the spread of the pandemic and the availability of resources for testing and treating. This, according to the organization, can greatly improve health-seeking behaviors among the citizenry. On allegations that the Department of Disaster Management Affairs has failed to account for 6.2 billion kwacha allocated towards efforts to fight the virus, the organization says Malawians need to see evidence of how the money was used and that there should be swift action where it will be found that the resources were abused. The statement comes at a time when President Lazarus Chakwera has called for all COVID-19 clusters to account for the monies allocated to them amidst a massive interest from some quarters, including the Human Rights Defenders Coalition. For Zodiac, I am Vanani Renda.
Meanwhile, there was pandemonium Tuesday night at Nkhani as police officers were trying to enforce COVID-19 guidelines, which did not go well with some residents. The residents accused the law enforcers of being too heavy-handed in the way they enforced the rules, and in retaliation, they blocked the main road at Nkhani market with burning tires. Take a look. The Human Rights Defenders Coalition HRDC claims the SCB has only investigated a single case out of over 50 alleged corrupt practices reported since it embarked on a whistleblowing initiative. HRDC National Coordinator Luke Tembo has told Zodiac the delay by the Bureau to swiftly investigate allegations discourages future whistleblowers. But spokesperson for the SCB, Ekrita Ndala, insists that investigations into the matters are still underway. Ronix Chiwanda filed this report. National Coordinator for the Human Rights Defenders Coalition HRDC, Luke Tembo, says investigating just a single case out of over 50 complaints forwarded to the SCB could discourage future whistleblowers. Tembo says the Bureau has only managed to provide feedback on how government through the Ministry of Health procured ambulances from a certain company in Zambia.
We can't afford to delay in investigating such, because the delays that are there are federal grounds for those probably who are accused to tamper with evidence if there is any, and it also discourages the people that give us information in terms of the whistleblowing initiative. These people give us information on the understanding that there will be swift investigation on such kind of matters.
Spokesperson for the Anti-Corruption Bureau, Ekrita Ndala, says investigations into the matters are still underway, appealing to Malawians to understand that the Bureau has received a lot of complaints from July to date. She added that the other challenge at the Bureau is shortage of staff, especially investigation officers, which makes it difficult to commence investigations on all the complaints received at the same time. You're watching News on Zodiac. We'll be right back shortly after the break. Stand by.
Now there's a better, safer, user-friendly and affordable disinfectant you can trust. Introducing Safe Surface Disinfectant from Ethco. This is a liquid-based surface cleaner that can kill 99.9% of germs and viruses, including the coronavirus. Disinfect your offices, shops, education and religious institutions, and your home with Safe Surface Disinfectant. Safe Surface Disinfectant for a cleaner and safer surface in just one go. Ethco. That's the spirit.
If there's one thing that all soaps do, it's wash. From buckets to basins, bathrooms to streams, and everything in between.
All soaps wash.
Yes, but Protex is different. Its reinvented formula with flaxseed oil boosts your skin's natural anti-germ defenses by by 10 times more, protecting you against 99.9% of germs. So what keeps us healthy?
Protex!
Good health starts here.
Kodi ndinu nomwe somuzitichwa olemekezeka kwadi? Aya.
Koma mwachedwatu.
Nakatobwera
tazotera mazanosi.
Oh.
Mbona mchedo?
Kungoti ndadzera ku Audipod. Ndimakasiya mafomu ofotokoza za chuma, business komanso za ngongole zimene ndili nazo. Anzathu munakaulula kale ngati?
Ayi. Komanso ndinezoulula zimangoona ngati nkungotcherana misampha chabe.
Kutcherana misampha kotani?
Olemekezeka.
Inu chuma choti mwachipeza mwachilungamo ungachite mantha? Kapena tumwina mufuna mutapeza chuma chanu kudzera munjira zosalongosoka koma pogwiritsa ntchito dindo wanu.
Eso sichoncho.
Mwinatu. Chifukwa ineyo ngati MP. Inunso ngati munthu amene muli ndi udindo kuboma. Tinayenera kuulula chuma chathu, business athu ku Audipod. Tisachite kudikira kuti mpaka nati kumbutse yayi. Komanso anthu amene ine ndimatumikira anayenera kukhala ndi chikhulupiriro mwa ineyo.
Zoona.
Yetu. Mpaka na maina athu mpaka nati chiti discipline.
Sizabwino.
Ndipanga zomwezo komanso ndizawuza koso anzanga yena.
Akuluakulu ogwira ntchito zaboma kaya ndife amaudindo ochita kusankhidwa ndi anthu kapena ndife ochita kulembedwa tikuyenera kuulula chuma ngongole komanso mabizinesi omwe tili nawo ku Audipod kuti tipewe kuyimbidwa mlandu kuyimitsidwa kapena kuchosedwa ntchito kumene. Uthengawo ukukufikani kuchokera ku Office of the Director of Public Officers Declarations, Audipod.
Precious things have a secret formula. While John is busy trying to impress, James discovered Tangu's secret. Tangu uses Purity sanitary products from Purity body wash, Purity hands wash, Purity body lotion to Purity dishwash. After a week of using Purity sanitary products, James won the heart of Tangu. Use Purity sanitary products.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at the headlines as we continue the news. COVID-19 task force turns back expenditure reports from forecaster committee for lacking satisfying evidence. HRDC claims SCB has only investigated one case out of over 50 alleged corrupt practices it reported. Livingstonia Senator CCP worried with excessive force on COVID-19 prevention measures. In sports, Flames players to undergo COVID-19 tests this weekend ahead of campaign for AFCON qualifiers. State House says President Lazarus Chakwera is not in a rush to fill vacancies created in his cabinet following deaths of two ministers of transport and local government. Presidential Press Secretary Brian Banda has told us the president will make the appointments when he deems it right. A political and governance commentator, Wanda from Kuche, has observed that despite that operations in the ministries are being handled by technocrats, eventually the president has to appoint new ministers. Alex Banda reports.
The cabinet seats fell vacant following the demise of Sidik Mia and Linkson Belekanyama, who succumbed to COVID-19 on January 12 this year. Almost a month after their deaths, President Chakwera is yet to fill the cabinet positions for Minister of Transport and the Minister for Local Government. Press Secretary to President Chakwera, Brian Banda, suggests the president is in no rush.
Should be able to know that the powers to hire and fire our cabinet is the prerogative of the president. The laws of this country have given the powers to the head of state and government to do what is necessary. So when the president deems deems it fit to fill those vacant positions in cabinet, he will let the nation know.
Political and governance commentator Wanda Funkuche says eventually the president has to fill the positions, despite that operations are still being handled by technocrats in the ministry.
The fact that we do not have ministers in some of the positions, it is not a huge loss that we have to be desperate about. So I think we can move on for now, but then I think there will be time the president has to fill in. But for now, I think let's just move on.
For Zodiac, this is Alex Banda.
Mulanje District Hospital has received assorted medical supplies from ECO COVID-19 project through Care Malawi International to the tune of 19.5 million Malawi kwacha. Receiving the donation, Mulanje District Medical Officer Dr. Lloyd Njiko says so far 76 health workers from public, mission and private health facilities have contracted the deadly virus. He therefore pleads for continued support for personal protection equipment and treatment equipment to the district's health sector. Hastings Chuman reports.
District Medical Officer in Mulanje, Dr. Lloyd Njiko, has told us on Wednesday 76 health workers from public, mission and private health facilities in the district have fallen sick of COVID-19 since the outbreak of the pandemic last year. He said the figure is quite alarming and threatening to the health sector's human resources department. Dr. Njiko said this on Wednesday when he received a consignment of medical and sanitary materials from ECO COVID-19 project, called for continued support for personal protective equipment, PPEs, and treatment equipment to the district's health sector.
As a district, we have about 529 cases and 327 have recovered, and we have had 37 admissions. We had 15 deaths, but the main challenges now is human resource. We're having some of health workers also contracting the same illness, and then they have to go for quarantine. Other than that, we also have challenges with the ETU equipment. This is the equipment that we're using in the isolation unit. We have a short supply of oxygen cylinders. We have a short supply of the gauge, the monitors, as well as the concentrators.
ECO COVID-19 project manager Chimomwe Graham said the support that includes soap, cloth and surgical face masks, chlorine, bacteriology, pool testers and plastic basins and buckets is in response to calls for support from the district council towards COVID-19 management.
The main objective of this ECO COVID-19 project is to support the government. In this case, we are talking about Mulanje district, so that they should be able to respond to COVID-19, thereby reducing cases of COVID-19. This is a donation of 90 million plus years.
Care Malawi International is implementing ECO COVID-19 project in Mulanje with support from European Union. For Zodiac in Mulanje, this is Hastings Jimani reporting.
Meanwhile, Mzuzu Central Hospital has advised against reluctancy to seek medical help by those feeling symptoms of coronavirus. According to Hospital Director Dr. Frank Sinyiza, with the continued registered cases, some people do not necessarily seek help immediately, and by the time they do, the cases are usually critical. Dr. Sinyiza was speaking after a donation made to the hospital by the Association of Women in Media on Tuesday. Toera Kumwenda has more.
According to Mzuzu Central Hospital Director Dr. Frank Sinyiza, there is need for people to seek medical attention at the nearest hospital the minute they begin to experience coronavirus symptoms. Dr. Sinyiza, who was speaking after receiving a donation of food items from the Association of Women in Media to frontline health workers at the hospital, said the reluctance by some people to seek immediate medical help poses as a threat to their lives, as the time they usually seek help is when their condition has worsened to respond to treatment.
Most of the people, they come very sick. So please, when people don't feel well, they should come to the hospital area. Because when people come very sick, most of them, they come in a critical condition that survival will be very difficult.
Speaking after AOME made the donation, AOME executive member Martha Chirambo of Nation Publications Limited said as media there is need for more sensitizations if some of the challenges narrated by the hospital are to be addressed.
Currently as media, we are on the ground working together with government, trying to sensitize the masses, trying to share information that when they have signs and symptoms of COVID-19, they should rush to the hospital and not just stay in homes, and that they should report to the hospital area, prompt reporting to the hospital.
Winnie Mwawa, one of the frontline health workers at the facility, said with the donation she feels encouraged that people are appreciating the work health workers are doing.
Most of the people, they focus on the patients, but for you had effort. For us frontline health workers, which is a very great thing, and we say thank you so much for the support.
For Zodiak in Mzuzu, I'm Toera Mwenda.
Flames players are expected to undergo COVID-19 tests over the weekend ahead of camping for the final 2 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers next month. The Flames will face South Sudan away on the 24th of March before hosting Uganda in Blantyre 5 days later. Details have emerged that Flames tactician Meki Mwase awaits Chiwembe's approval on his proposal to start with the preparations next week.
Inside sources have confided in us that Mwase has named a squad of over 30 players, most of them locally based who were active in the top flight league before football was suspended a month ago following an upsurge in COVID-19 cases. Farms Competitions and Media Manager Gomeziani Zakazaka has confirmed that Mwase presented his program of preparations but was coy on the actual day for which the trainings could start. Meanwhile, according to Zakazaka, arrangements are being made with the Ministry of Health to have the locally based players tested for COVID-19 this Friday, and the program of preparations will be determined by the results.
At the moment now, as a farm secretariat, we are working on the logistics to ensure that we should execute this plan, and all things being equal, we're expecting that maybe next week they can start camping. There are issues to do with COVID-19 measures. The players are in their homes. We need to look at how we're going to do the testings, how are we going to do the isolation, the quarantine, as well as the measures that we're going to follow at the Mpira Stadium, rather Mpira Village.
Football analyst George Kaudzamasina feels the Flames are running out of time to commence their preparations.
It has been a norm for Malawi to do things last minute. And at the end of the day, we tend to blame the coach. It's a disaster. And the blame has to go from executive. Meke must already requested that the players should go to camp. By now, they could have already been in camp. But the dilly-dallying is going to cost our team. And we shouldn't expect anything good from the Sudan game.
The Flames are third in Group B with 4 points, and their final 2 games away to South Sudan as well as at home to Uganda are crucial in qualifying for the finals of the Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon next year.
That item brings us to the end of this newscast, and before we go, a recap of the top stories. COVID-19 task force turns back expenditure reports from 4 cluster committees for lacking satisfying evidence. HRDC claims SCB has only investigated 1 case out of over 50 alleged corrupt practices it reported. Livingstonia Synod of CCP worried with excessive force on COVID-19 prevention measures. In sports, Flames players to undergo COVID-19 tests this weekend ahead of camping for AFCON qualifiers. Visit our website zodiacmala.com for more these and other stories. I am Sibongile Ziambo. COVID-19 is with us. Protect yourself and your loved ones by observing all controlling measures to stop its further spread. Goodbye.